Hey, surprise! The Articulate Ox podcast is back for at least 1 week. I don't know. I had said when I stopped doing the podcast that if any really interesting guests came along, that I would do some one-off episodes or whatever. And this was the perfect guest, Omega Red. This guy, I don't know. Just listen to the interview. He has so much cool to talk about. He's so inspirational. His music is amazing. His message is amazing. I really dig this dude. We talk a little bit about his aunt, the disco queen Donna Summer, who is also just an absolute legend, rock and roll Hall of Fame inductee, and she's not even a rock artist, so that's how big she is, and I don't know. But I really enjoyed talking to Omega. I'm going to get right into it. I guess while I'm here, I might as well mention what I'm working on. If you've been paying attention, I have my album Drinking Songs for Children that was recorded between 2005 and 2022, I believe. And I am doing a video for every song on that album. So those are coming out one at a time. As of now, I think three of them are out, and the fourth one, actually, the third one's coming out in June 27th. That's petty. So check that out. And then I got another one coming in July. And then I have other albums coming, doing an album with Young Hump from Digital Underground. That's almost done. I got tracks with Elza dropping, Concept to Astronaut, all this good stuff. She Real Talk. I mean, She Real. I always say She Real Talk, but it's She Real. But yeah, so check it out. Check my stuff out at Soma79 everywhere, but definitely check out Omega Red. There's an event they're doing on June 27th in Boston that you should go check out. It is Donna Summer dance party. Sorry, I stumbled over that a little bit, but it sounds like a lot of fun. It's a free event in Boston, so check that out. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and yeah, so there'll be more at some point. Just probably not next week or the week after, but I'll have more. Thank you so much, Omega Red, for giving me a reason to pick this back up again. All right, have a good one. Peace. Hello, welcome to the return of the Articulate Ox podcast. It's been a little while as I've been releasing some music videos, and that is timely because we have somebody who's really been working in the music industry for a long time here. We have Omega Red from Boston, Massachusetts. What is going on, man?
Hey man, just chilling right now, saying just got out of church, praise the Lord, praise the Lord.
We need it more than ever these days.
Yeah. So I just got out of church, but that's how I like to start my Sundays now, you know what I'm saying? Like, being spiritual and having a reset, So
Well, it's interesting you said that because I was watching some of your past interviews, and you said something that really struck a chord with me. And you said, "There's a lot of takers in this world, not enough people who give. I give a lot, and a lot of people help me because of that fact." And
true,
that
true, true.
really struck. I mean, that's I think about that a lot. There's a ton of takers in this world. There's not a lot of givers, and in this weird way that in some ways almost feels selfish. When you give, it does come back to you in a way.
Yeah, eventually. You actually did your homework, bro.
Yes, totally.
That was how I came up. So they shot that out here in Buffalo. Yeah, my boy Phil Davis and Scoville TV. So shout out to them because they really recognized who I was. Like I know I was out in Buffalo when I moved out here. I was kind of like low key for a little bit, and they was like hitting me like, "Yo, Red, we need people need to hear your story, bro, and realize people need to know you're out here in Buffalo." So shout out to them. But yeah, that's where you got that quote from. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean that really is community is everything,
Yeah,
really.
for sure.
Especially in this world where it's not everybody's trying to make a name for themselves, everybody's trying to do, but like what we're forgetting is that when we tie ourselves together, that's where we all succeed. We
Yeah,
can't.
I mean, I think collaboration is key too. And I mean, like early in my career, when I tried to collaborate with a lot of people, like their ego got in the way. Maybe it was like, oh, why you want to collaborate? Because I'm hot right now. It's like, no, I'm not trying to like ride your wave. It's just like I just admire talented people, and because I feel like I'm just as talented, and I just like to combine forces and collaborate and do big things together. Like I think we're stronger in numbers. You know, what I'm saying with collaboration. Especially. I feel like in other regions, in other regions, I had to leave Boston, to reach my dreams and goals.
Well,
You
you
know,
mentioned in the interview that there's a ceiling in Boston, and that's something I think a lot of people have realized that it's like the reason there isn't a ton of big rappers from Boston is once they get a buzz, they'd move to New York, and then they'd be kind of known as New York rappers. It's like it's
yeah.
there's a ceiling in Boston to some degree.
Well, let's talk about like the R&B people though, like the other actors and entertainers, right? Like so, um,
Bobby Brown, I mean, you guys, he doesn't have much of a ceiling to him. That dude's been doing well for a long time.
yeah. So I mean, but yeah, I think every city like that doesn't have like an industry. They have to move outside of. They got to move out of their city to where their industry's at, right? so they can become something. But also, but before they leave, they have to make sure they're a household name where they're from. That's I truly honestly believe that because I did that. Like I didn't just tour Boston, I toured the whole New England. So I made sure everybody in New England knew who I was before I ventured off to New York City.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't expect people outside of your home to care about you if people in your home don't. It's like, is those are the people that share most of your experiences, share most of your culture. So if you can't really impact with them, it's going to be a lot harder on the global level, unless you're a
Yeah.
real fish out of water, you know?
Yeah, plus another thing too, when you go other places and you tell people where you're from, they're gonna fact check. They're like, "Do you know this guy Omega Red?" Like for instance, like I'm real cool with DJ Sam Sneak. That's Rick Ross's DJ.
Yep.
So when I was in Florida a lot, and when he would come into to Boston, he would always ask for me, and like people didn't realize how tight I was with him, and then like. Pup Dog called me like, yo, DJ Sam Sneak's asking for you. It's like I didn't know you. So it's just like people will fact check and see if you're that dude where you're from. You
I
know?
literally did that. Well, before this interview, I'm going out. I'm doing something soon. I won't really mess with you at this point. Won't say, but I fact check the people who do. I check someone else in the industry who lives across the country. I'm like, I guarantee this
Yeah.
person knows those people, and
Uh-huh.
they'll tell me. And it's just you got to do it. Your reputation ends up being everything. You know?
Yeah, man. So I definitely have a rep. But like, I was out here, I put in the work in Boston and New England but I just did things my way. Like, a lot of people think you should be at a certain level of success in their perception. But I know this is a business. So once I got in the business side of things, I was like, okay, that's where the real power is behind the camera.
Right, because a lot of people don't get that the people that you see in the front end often look like they have success, but they don't really have the money, and it's the people you don't see as often who really are, and behind the
Yeah.
publishing, behind
Yep.
all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So that's where I got into publishing. So shout out to DJ Master Millions. Do you know who DJ Master Millions is? Yeah. So shout out to him. So he actually got me into the publishing game. He connected me with my co-publishers. And then after that, I started my own publishing company because I learned from them. So shout out to DJ Master Millions. He's the one that got me into the publishing game for sure.
I mean, that's really where the money is. I mean, it's
Yep, for
in
sure.
publishing. It's
Hmm.
it's so hard now because singles don't have a long shelf life. I mean, I put out some songs with some pretty big name artists, and it's gotten some plays immediately, but you see it dies down fast. It's not like in the
Yeah.
old days where it's like, oh, like Jay-Z had an appearance on this one other rapper's album, and that song's gonna live on forever. It just sort of
Hmm.
doesn't work that way anymore. But in publishing, that's where your music it's almost like the 401k of music where you put your money in
But
and
401k, digital real estate, and like intellectual property,
yes,
like you could pass down your publishing to your kids, right? Just like you could pass down property to your children, you know what I'm saying? It's legacy.
right.
So yeah, for sure. You know what's up.
Yeah, I've been around.
Yeah.
So I was looking at your list of collaborators here, and it's like so many of them are interesting to talk about. Let's just run down the list quickly, then we'll talk
Okay.
about each person. Ray J, who,
Yep.
everybody knows from Steel with Shaquille O'Neal. I watched that recently. I'm like, hey, Ray J's in that movie.
That's when he was young acting. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. I was like, wow, there he is. 88 Keys.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, sick producer.
Yeah.
Ziggy
I was
Marley.
blessed for that one. I got real blessed for that one. And like how I met him and how I linked up with him was crazy. He's one of my friends out here in Buffalo, and he was like, 88 Keys is looking to produce for some artists, like some independent artists, and he gave me his number, and I called him, and I flew down to Jersey, and I went to actually his house, and at that time he was going through some things. He just was off that Macklemore, not yeah Macklemore production he did with him and Sia,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I just kicked it with him, bro. And then, like he's like, I like you, and we he came up with this beat, and I was like, I got the record for that.
Yeah.
It was Home Sweet Home, the one I talk about, like had to leave Massachusetts, had to leave my hometown, but my hometown made me who I am. But I had to leave, but still, it's my home. So,
So that's like the perfect example of something that I love. I love when I hear is that that's right time, right place, but it's
mhm.
also you've put yourself in the place to be in the right time. You're ready for right time, right place. That it's like you get the opportunity, you get to make the call, and oh, you've already a fully formed human being, so you show up as somebody who they want to work with. And it's like that.
Yeah,
It's like that's where the character building meets just it all kind of works together. That like, a
yeah,
lot of people they show up there and the person they don't know how to deal with people or talk to people, and
Yeah,
they don't have the worldview to connect. If you know, because
yeah. Yeah, Eddie he's a big deal too, man. Like,
yeah,
like I knew who he was, but then I looked at his discography and I'm like, yo, like,
no,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, and
like
everyone's
quietly
like,
work with everybody.
oh my goodness. I mean, he was like an understudy of Kanye and
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? And he produced some big records too. Like, all the records he produced from back in the day till now were like hitters, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So,
Certainly opened some doors when you get some of those credits.
for sure, man, for sure.
Yeah. So you work with KRS-One, who, man, as legends go.
Yeah, that was a crazy story too. So shout out to Dwayne The Rock Ramos. He's from New Bedford, Massachusetts, but he's been living in LA for, decades now. And I linked up with him and he's actually produced a song with me and KRS-One. So, but then I was in Jersey again at a hotel. We recorded that right in the hotel and KRS-One came through and he blessed me with the verse and we had some quite conversations about like my artistry because I'm a musician. Like I play saxophone. He was just telling me like you should add that to your music as well. But at that time, I was so deep into underground. I just want to be one of them underground rappers and spit those bars. You know what I'm saying? But I had all these other talents, but I just wanted to hone in on like underground rap at the time. And as I got older, I realized like I should have utilized all those talents and gifts that I had. But now that I'm utilizing them now, but
Right.
he definitely gave me a huge tip on that. What I'm saying just like that, that's part of you. So what makes you unique.
That was the thing about underground rap because I used to do a bunch of shows like in like the mid 2000s and stuff, and it was like everybody was sort of all fighting to be the same, and like
Yep.
it just didn't. And I think a lot of people were squashing down what made them special, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for real. Like you like that's what I thought. I said, well, I don't want to like. Well, I feel like the some of the underground rappers made me feel like I wasn't like because I did have other gifts. Like I could read and write music and stuff like that, and they couldn't. So they wanted to like put me in a box,
There you
like
go. Yeah, yeah,
make
yeah.
me feel like I wasn't good enough, but I'm what I'm actually am. Like you know what I'm saying? And I have all the gifts and talents that they didn't have.
Yeah,
You know?
that is a funny thing that I would run into sometimes is, and I'll admit I had some advantage. I got to go to BU film school, which a lot
Okay,
of my
that's what's
friends
up.
didn't get an opportunity to do. And like, but you realize pretty quickly there does come a resentment with along with almost like formal training or people who really when you put the discipline in, because it's like
Hmm.
a lot of people don't want to accept how much of this is really about discipline, you know
Right.
especially if you have talent, because talent can pull you in all your brain in all sorts of directions. And if you
Oh,
can't
for
ground
sure.
yourself, then you're never going to be able to do it.
It puts you in so many different lanes, and but people try to say this is the lane you're supposed to be in. That why can't you be like, no, you can do more than one thing, you
And you
know?
know what's evident of that? Almost every really successful rapper or comedian, you'll see them in an interview and they'll ask them who the funniest or the most talented rapper they know is. And it's almost always somebody that was from their block that you've never heard of before. And
Hmm.
it's like, it's because those people didn't have that thing that gets you up every day to do it. It's
Yep.
without that, you can have all the talent a dime a dozen,
Yeah, talent's a dime a dozen, and I think hard work outbeats talent all day.
all day long. Yeah,
I ran into a lot of talented people that just didn't want to work at it or just thought that it was gonna just come to them because they were talented and gifted, you
right.
know?
Especially
So
not these days. You gotta
nah,
fight
not
for
these
it.
days.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about Ziggy Marley because I love the Marleys. I got to
Okay.
see them years ago back in the day. So you want to remix with that, and we haven't even touched on her yet. Donna Summer, your aunt, who
Yeah.
obviously is for those who
Oh, there
don't
you go.
know.
Oh man, you got the sexy joint. You got the sexy.
I
Oh
know.
my
I
God.
didn't get it. I the only one I literally picked this up about a day or two before I knew we were going to do this. I was down
Okay.
in Norwalk, Connecticut, Full House Records going to see Parliament Funkadelic, and I was like, I need
Okay.
summer. So
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't meet Ziggy, but it was an honor though to remix the record though. Like so it was off my aunt's Crayons album. So that's like when we first actually started to like work together as far as production. Like because I literally was like a lot of people didn't know she was my aunt growing up. So like when I was a teenager, a little, I started to go to weddings and so I started to recognize who she was, whatever. And then so soon as like I started to get really serious with the music and stuff like that, and they started to tell like, yo, your nephew's coming, he's coming, he's coming. Because I started to work with people and be around people in circles that she knew.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so she's like, I talked to my Uncle Bruce, that was her husband, and he was just like, I was telling him I'm doing production, and I got this production group, whatever, I can remix one of the songs. This is when she came out with the Crayons album, and he's like, all right, they gave me a shot, they gave me the acapella, and at that time I was going to AI, I was going to Institute of Art in
Yeah.
Brookline.
That's where my the guy who masters a lot of my stuff and mixes a lot of my
What's his name? What's his name?
he goes by Upgrade. His name's Ryan Randall.
Okay,
And I know people, that's one of those schools that people go to like at all different ages. So I don't know
yeah,
like
yeah,
when, that's a great, everybody I know who's ever come out of there came out with a lot of great, like I went to
yeah,
BU and had to learn a lot of stuff I never had to do. I wish I could have spent more time actually
yeah.
doing.
Static Selector was there. He went
Yeah.
there.
I mean, God.
Um, who else? A couple other people went there, but a lot of people think Static Selector is from Boston, but he's actually from New Hampshire.
Yeah.
But he's real. So like him, Peter Parker, all those guys are from like the same area. Andrew Leeds, they're all from that like same area.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So kudos to those guys though. They're doing their thing.
So like
Um,
the mention the working the remix and the Ziggy Marley
okay,
and
yeah, yeah. Let's
on
go back to
track.
that. Yeah.
But like so for me, like when I quit rapping for a long time and because around COVID, I was like, I felt like I had unfulfilled potential. So what I decided to do is just open up my wallet and say, I'm gonna put down some money on some guest features and I'm gonna work until I'm good enough to stand next to these artists. Then I'll release
Okay.
their songs. Now some of
So
those
you,
came out.
it's like prophecy.
Right. So,
Yeah.
but then you say yourself, it's like it's steel, sharpen steel, all that stuff. So, but I knew the pressure was on me to go. I don't want to sound like a jackass next to Cool Keith or Esoteric or like Raz Cass or any of these or
Oh man, you
Elmo.
you, you naming some names, man. Like
Yeah,
Esoteric is dope. Cool
I just
Keith is
I dropped a song with him and Cool Keith a couple months ago.
okay. I gotta hear it, man. I gotta hear it, bro.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. I did a
Yeah.
video for all these puppets and stuff.
So what's up now? Are you still doing stuff?
Oh yeah,
Like, we'll collaborate? Like, what's up?
yeah, definitely. Dude, I'm cranking out stuff all the time. Yeah.
All right, set something over, bro. I
Yeah.
got you.
I'm actually doing an album right now with Young Hump from Digital Underground because Digital Underground was like my favorite band growing up, and
Okay.
Young Hump is now because R.I.P. Shock G. He's now he played him in the Tupac movie All Eyes on Me, and Shock G
Okay.
asked him to take the gimmick on sort of. So me and him are doing an album together. It's almost done. So
That's amazing.
yeah. But my question was, so like for what was it like? So for me working with these artists, all due respect, people like Cool Keith, they're
Hmm.
great artists, but like you're talking about the Marley family, you're talking about
Yeah.
Donna Summer. What is that pressure like? Like what is it like to go, is it like, okay, I've gotten this far, but now I what is it like doing that song? Because all of us have recorded, I think for me, I've recorded 6 songs in a day and had one of them be my best song ever.
Hmm.
I've also spent months on a song and had it be like
Yeah.
total dog crap. So like what is it like in that moment? What do you
All right.
have
So
one
it
thing
was
that
pretty
you have to make it
easy.
happen?
All right. So it was pretty easy at that point because I'm like I was in my flow at that time. So shout out to Manny Diaz. So he was the producer that produced it. He was signed to my production company, Stay Grinding Music at the time. So I met him. So he actually produced the record. So and then all I did was just put my lyrics over it. And Crayons was a beautiful song about like all the races mixing together and stuff like that. So that's like my whole world has been my whole world growing up has been very multicultural. So that was just like real life to me. So like reality, like all that stuff is like easy for me to do because I'm just speaking the truth.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And they loved it. They loved the record and we put it out, and they loved it. So then we started working on more stuff. And then, I went out to Nashville, where she was living for a while, and it was doing production and, try to come up with another song for us to collaborate on. And, and she's like, nope, that ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't it. Like, I'm talking, this is the
yeah.
queen, right? Like,
Right. I mean, it's like if you trust your judgment, like it's
yeah,
like it's
yeah.
everyone knows who she is
Yeah, so
for
then,
good reason.
I left, Nashville with my tail tucked in, like, what I'm saying? Like, she's like, Rob, when you got a hit, I'll let you know, And, so I went back, maybe it was like maybe 6, 7 months later. I demoed a song with this girl named Mackenzie Dunton in Toronto. That's the song I have with her now, Angel.
Angel. Yeah.
Yeah, and,
Beautiful song. My girlfriend and I listened to that last night
what do
and
you think about it? What do you think?
I thought it was beautiful. And my girlfriend likes hip hop. She's a big music fan, but doesn't know as much. And she was like, wow, that's really she used the word moving. And I felt the same way. It was beautiful.
Yeah. So when I sent it to my Uncle Bruce, with her husband. I sent it to him, and then like they called me back in 5 minutes. Was like, "Yo, you got a hit, you got it." You know what I'm saying? Then I flew out to LA, and then we worked on it for about. I mean, I was staying in LA. I was bi-coastal at that point, so At that point, I stayed out there for about like 6 months until we completed it. But at that time, she was going through. She was sick. I didn't know she was sick. So
Yeah.
she didn't tell me, right? So, but I noticed that she lost weight. I just thought she would change her diet and stuff like that. But so we got the song complete, and then like maybe I say like 6, 7 months later, she passed away.
Right. And she
Yeah,
unfortunately passed away from lung cancer, which, for a
yeah.
singer is, you know, but she did work all the way up to the end, which is like,
No, she but like she worked up like that was her last record that I did recorded with her.
wow,
That
that's
was
amazing.
crazy.
That's like that's beautiful because I mean that's my plan. I plan to be like, going into going into the ground with like a pen in my hand, and it's like it's so
Yeah,
nice that like gives us so much life and so much purpose, and it's our way to
yeah.
communicate with the world. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I literally talked to her she texted me like maybe 3 days before she passed away. It was like, Robert, I love you. You're amazing. And I still didn't know like I knew she was sick, but I didn't know severity of it. You know what I'm saying? So and then my mother called me like 3 days later. She's like, she's gone. I'm like, what? She just texted me like it seemed like she was in good spirits. Like, and I was like, man, her faith was just undeniable. Like her faith, man. So was I sad? I was extremely sad and distraught. But she lived an amazing life when you think about it.
I know.
And she touched so many people.
She did. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like there aren't those names anymore. That like it seems like there's now the super, super, super Taylor Swift names and everybody else is fighting out, but everybody knows who Donna Summer is. I mean,
Yeah.
her name is rung through the
Yeah,
ages.
she's the queen, man. She's the
It
queen, bro. Like the queen of all queens.
Yeah.
So it's hard for it's like I collaborate with a lot of I try to talk to a lot of young female artists and when I work with them and stuff like that, like, everyone has like a ego or
Yeah.
I'm just like and I work with them and like I'm so cool, but sometimes I remind them I'm like, yo, I worked with like the queen. Like I'm not gonna steer you wrong. Like I know what a diva is. Like, you know what I'm saying? I work with, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah.
so, you know.
It's like divas back then had to earn their divahood. I think a lot
Yeah,
of
for
people
sure.
today come out diva first and then try to backfill with talent. It
Hmm.
doesn't work that way. It's
Yeah.
you know.
So
Um So you're also Roy Barbosa. There's a name that everybody in Boston has heard so many times over the years. You did a
that's
few
my guy,
mixtapes with
man.
him. Yeah, he's I mean obviously everybody in Boston knows DJ Roy Barbosa. Like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Roy's like, he's a really good friend of mine to this day. Like I seen him maybe like I would say like I seen him last year. We caught up a little bit. He's teaching soccer. Like he's really into his kids and family right now. But yeah, he broke my record, Soul Clap. I got on, Clear Channel Radio. I was like one of the first independent artists in Boston to be on like national radio because of Roy. So he's the one that really broke my record, Soul Clap. So I used to do like a ton of remixes. You know how like we do remixes over like beats of other artists' beats and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I do it. Me and Mighty Mystic actually had a really dope record we did. It was called Canon that they would play during the traffic hours and stuff like that. So yeah, man, Roy's my guy, man. That's my brother right there, man.
Yeah, I mean it's his influence. I mean he's the Boston I mean the thing about Boston radio is he's one of the few DJs we've had that's really like held it down for years. Like we
For
haven't
sure.
had that like a lot of cities do. It's I mean
Yeah, he's like legacy, man. And Roy's cool. Like he wasn't like can I swear on here? Can I swear?
oh, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't like an asshole DJ, you know what I'm saying? Like he was super humble. Like that was just a gift he had and he didn't take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? You know how some people like, that are DJs or whatever have power positions in radio, like they're dicks.
Oh
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
definitely. Yeah.
Like he was never that way. He's super humble. You know what I'm saying? I respect him to this day for he's just himself, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, it's fun. I came up listening to Emerson Radio and
Mm.
WBOU, like MC Brains, like all this
Yep,
stuff.
yep.
Like, it's
The
just
88.9, right? You talking about
yeah, yeah,
88.9,
yeah.
right?
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't know what hip. I mean, that's where I learned what real hip hop was. Like
Oh, for
listening to
sure.
like Master Ace and like South Central Cartel. We didn't get a whole lot of that out in the suburbs. We had to go looking for
Yeah, 88.9 was like the epitome of like if you was like 88.9 as an independent artist, like you made
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And
You
that
know?
that that's what's gone now, is there isn't that thing, and that's what I think that
But they don't have 88.9 anymore?
no, well, we I think it exists, but the hip hop thing doesn't exist. But there isn't
Okay.
that there isn't because I was talking to Van Styles the other day, who was an old DJ on them. He does the Big Dookie Chain podcast now, and he was one of the DJs back in the day. I think he told me that the hip hop stuff doesn't happen anymore. But we don't
Oh,
the cities that have a centralized place for like where people can meet and there's always hip hop going on, or even though the radio station, the radio show everybody's listening to, that's where the scenes seem to thrive more. I mean,
Mm.
and I'm guessing in Buffalo with Griselda, I mean, that must have really helped the last artist I think about out of Buffalo before Griselda was like Rick James. I'm sure I'm missing some, but like, um,
Um,
it must have changed the fabric of that scene a lot.
yeah, I've been out here for a while, so I've watched it. I watched the whole Griselda explosion. Um, so like, where I'm from, it's like 20, like it's 20 years behind though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's like, so I watched the explosion and uh, so like, yeah, man, it's definitely changed the landscape. You know what I'm saying? Because they do have a unique sound.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So, and they stick to like Buffalo's culture, they stick to their sound. They don't budge. So I
yeah.
respect them for that. You know what I'm saying?
They're right between the Locks and Wu-Tang, sort of. They sort
Think
of,
so?
yeah. I think that's where I've always sort of thought.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm a big pro wrestling fan, so they always throw
Okay.
out the wrestling
Yeah,
things. And
that culture. Yeah, 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 yeah. What's the name? Yeah, that they have that. They're big into like that culture. Like like it's like almost like grunge hip hop,
Yeah,
almost
yeah,
like
yeah,
what I'm saying. The beats are real slow and gritty. It's really street out here. It's a real street credible city. Like I mean, like poverty. It's not like Boston street. It's like like we got Benz and Beamers in the hood. Like streets and like but here it's like really grimy,
yeah.
dirty, like gritty, you know what I'm saying? Like
You think
Midwest.
Boston's cold? I've been to Buffalo once. It's one of the coldest I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like this definitely a street credible city and the stuff that goes on here is like really, really, really grimy and really gritty. So that's where that sound,
Yeah,
that's where they get that sound from, you know?
yeah, yeah. I love that stuff. So what are you working on now? Like what do you actually before we get to that, let's talk a little about Stay Grindin'.
Okay.
What so clothing brand or is
So it's a brand, period. So that's the label. I would say it's a management consulting label, but it's hard for me to manage. I don't want to manage any artists. Like
right?
if they
Oh,
can't work just as hard as me, I don't want to management. So I do more. I say more like business like artists and business development,
mhm.
right? So that's the label, right? And then I have Stay Grounded Music, which is the publishing side of it. So I do a lot of licensing for TV and film, and I do have a clothing brand. I'm not it's not out in the forefront yet, but I have little pieces here just to test the market because I do want to come out with a solid brand. But I have like a Redbubble where I have T-shirts and slogans and stuff like just testing the market. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But this year coming
Clothing
up, I'm
brand is
ready to
all
like
about the right time, the right place, the right
yeah
collaboration, and it's
yeah
more like in and out, then get the next good idea going because it's
yeah.
hard to have like I design shirts. This is like my little like Jay Dilla Simpsons
Yeah, I
mask.
like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's the donuts thing in LA, right? The
Yeah, 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 yeah,
20. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's
you
yeah,
sell a small number of them, and then you hope the next one hits. It's hard,
yeah,
but it's
yeah. So that's the culture. That's what the body and my label mission statement embodies. So Stay Grounded Music is not just a label; it's a way of life. So it's for people who want to strive and achieve their goals. It doesn't matter how small, how big they are. So that message resonates from Main Street to Wall Street. So, so that's what my culture embodies, so I feel like anyone can achieve their dreams and goals. Doesn't matter if you want to be a teacher. It doesn't matter if you have goals as being a salesperson. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete trying to win the championship or whatever, like, get your numbers up. You know what I'm saying? So that's, you just got to stay on your grind, stay on your hustle. It's about staying true to your vision and being consistent and having discipline.
right. Yeah, and treating people well. It's
Yeah,
just
and treating
about
people well,
it's
and helping people. Like
yeah.
if they're serious about what they want to do, help them out.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I learned doing, I fall into this pitfall over the years with my art, where sometimes I felt that I was spending too much time on it and it was cutting myself off from the outside world. And I was kind of going too far into my own head. And so what I
Mhm.
started doing is that about a third of the art that I do for free for other people, like either an album cover for somebody, just trying to support other artists. And oftentimes it challenges me to do my art in a different mental space and to think in
Okay.
terms more of what other people's needs versus my own.
Mhm.
And that's has made a huge difference for me, is just realizing that like it's also allowed me the space to work on my own art without feeling guilty about it. Because right
Yeah,
now
yeah,
it
yeah.
feels like there's always other people who need help, but we also need our own self-care. That
True,
balance is
true.
hard.
So you're like you're paying it forward.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
especially now as I'm getting a little I just turned 46 this year. It's like you start thinking about what you really want out of like your own artistic legacy. And if it's like, is it
Right.
more important that I get my CDs in every store, or is it more important that I'm making a difference in my artistic community? And I think it's
That, yeah, then that's the thing, because you know what? Because you making a difference is gonna create legacy for you.
Yeah, and it's like it's and you realize that that's the fun thing about working with people today that are a lot younger is that, obviously they've had a lot of shortcuts. They didn't have to find somebody with a piano to learn how to play a piano. It's like you can
Hmm.
put a piano on your phone these days. But
Yeah.
like when you see the ones that are really putting the work in and really just finding new ways to do things, and like I opened for some kids at Hampshire College. I performed with them. They just invited me down, and they had this newspaper stand that they turned into a robot that was like it was just like it's like at 21 I did not have the confidence to do this. I
Right,
would have been
right.
so embarrassed. And to see young kids that are not embarrassed to like chase after their goofy dreams is so inspired. I get as much out of them as they get out of me. It's
Yeah, then that's the thing with me, man. I'm a constant student of life, music. So in learning new things. So it's just like as much as I learn from the youth, like I pass down the wisdom, you know what I'm saying, to the youth, and they give me the new technology or what's popping, or the new arrangements for music. That's what it keeps me relevant, you know what I'm saying? So like they have like the technology, they have the information, but they don't have the wisdom, you
yeah.
know? So it's an equal exchange, you know what I'm saying? And I bridge like the old school with the new school because there's a huge, gap between like the old school and the new school, right? And I try to tell the old school people too. I'm like, listen, like, come on, like you remember when your parents were talking about your
Right.
music, saying it was like this is not gonna go nowhere, or like all right. So for instance, you know who Dougie Fresh is, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So my brother-in-law is DJ Chill Will, from the
Oh
Get Fresh
yeah,
crew.
yeah. You just very good job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's his DJ. So it's like I'm around, like so I see, so like I'm around like a lot of those school people, like you know what I'm saying, and not saying all of them are like that, but they feel a certain way. Like the younger people don't respect, and but the young people have to like do their homework too, though.
Yeah.
You know, so like I'm like I was born in like I was born in a time where I caught the old school, but was part of the new school too.
Yeah.
So I just try to I try to bridge those gaps between them two.
It was funny. I remember in the early 90s, like there was a big backlash even then about how corny rap was in the 80s. They're like, oh, all that shit was corny. And it's like, I
Hmm.
listen to a lot of that rap from the 80s right now in 2025. It's not corny. Like I was listening
Yeah.
to Kid and Play the other day and I was like, this is a damn good record. Like it's like,
Yo, everyone loved Kid and Play,
yeah.
and they were like one of the first rap groups that got into cinema,
And
right?
that was an independent film. That was one of the most successful independent films at the time, which people forget that like
Yeah,
that was not like
and
some studio thing. That was them like, and everybody was in that.
yeah, and they were being authentic. They were like, they were being authentic. They wasn't being like, oh, we're some bad dudes in the streets,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what made it so popular because everyone can relate. That's what popular music is. It's popular because a mass of people can relate to it. A lot of people, oh, it's pop music. Oh, this, that. No, pop music means that a ton of people can relate to it. Popular.
Right. And it's funny, even back then, I remember, oh, they had a Saturday morning cartoon. How lame. It's like, how cool would it be for any rapper now to have a Saturday morning
For
cartoon?
real. You can't
It's
even
like,
do
I
that with a lot of
couldn't
these
do it.
rappers though. Cause like what's their content about?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying though. Like, like when I started doing stuff for TV and film, man, I thought it was kind of corny, like some of the stuff, but I got placed on Disney,
Yeah.
and then I got placed on these other things, and I'm just like, and I see those checks coming in. I
Yeah.
said, oh, maybe this is not so
Then you also
corny.
start to realize that the people who work on those corny things are just as earnest and just as excited and just as motivated as we all are. So it's like
Hmm.
there's that. I haven't said to people like I'm not into the mumble rap. But like I watched this documentary and I think Lil Peep and like because I was like I got to figure out what's going on here. And
Yeah,
when
you got to study, right?
Yeah, and when I see it performed in the environment with the people that are into it, it makes more sense to me.
Oh, for
Like,
sure.
yeah, yeah, the context is really everything.
Hmm.
And it's like I don't want to just point at these people and go, "Oh, you got a face tattoo and your hair looks weird and your music sucks." But I'm like, "Okay, maybe I got to meet them in the middle and go, when I was a kid, I probably would have had all that stuff. My music definitely
See,
sucked back then."
that's what I'm saying. So every generation is a different culture. So I was trying to tell these kids, like, I'm just trying to tell the older people too, like, what about your generation and the generation before you? They were talking about you guys, what the hell you guys are doing, right? So you're becoming just like your parents,
Yeah.
and you said you didn't
Everybody
want to
thinks
do
music
that.
was perfect when they were a junior in high school. Like that's when everybody thinks that music has achieved perfection,
Yeah,
regardless of
like
what
I'm
year
just
they were.
like I'm like you're becoming just like our parents. Like, come stop it. Like, So I
Yeah.
said I would never do that. Like I said, I'm never gonna be like that. So I'm still like relevant because I listen to my children. You know what I'm saying? Like I asked them, like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Like they write with me. You know what I'm saying? So like, so it's like I'm like, I want to learn. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever want to like be like washed up.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I've become one of those hip hop heads that over the years has transferred to listen to all hip hop. To now I listen to mostly the albums that they were sampling, like
Mm,
the Funkadelics, the Ohio Players.
there
Like
you go.
I've totally reverted back into one of those people. I'm like, all right, that's where I'm at now. That's the stage I'm at.
So it's funny now though, like my daughter, she'll listen to some stuff and it's resampled from stuff that's been sampled like twice already from hip hop, and they think it's like from the hip hop thing. I'm like,
Like
no,
ultra processed food of music.
yeah, I'm like, no, this is where it really comes from,
Yeah.
And it's so funny because they just think it's so brand new. Like, oh, this is I'm like, this is not old. This has been like I'm at that point where I've seen things like fashion all that recycled like twice now.
Yeah,
So
I'm seeing cargo pants around. I didn't think they were going to come back, but I'm seeing them in the wild.
there you go. You know what I'm saying? So.
Like that Coil Ray song, that Player song, that song's been flipped so many times, but I still love it when it comes. I'm like, somehow flipped it again. It sounds dope.
There you go, like classical music. So the whole thing about me being like working with so many great artists, you know what I'm saying, and legendary artists and artists who's been standing the test of time, I've learned how to make classical music.
Yeah, evergreen,
Yep, there you
music
go.
that stands the test of time, and it's
Hmm.
like it's that's what we're all. It's yeah. So I want to make sure we touch on this. There's an event dedicated to your aunt coming up on June 27th in Boston, correct?
Yeah, it's at Boston City Hall. It's called Celebration of Summer. It's free for everyone. People come from all over the world, which is amazing. How it started, I raised about $10,000 to build a mural at where she went to high school. It was Jeremiah Burke in Dorchester. And I did that with Justin Springer from Out the Box Media, and he had a nonprofit called the Dreams Youth Builder Project. So he approached me. He said, like, Rob, I want to get this mural built, we went and raised the money. And once we did that, we got a ton of press, and then the city approached us and was like, yeah, we want to be involved. We want to throw this event, because Donna's from, our hometown. We want to, preserve her legacy. So yeah, man. And then it was off to the races. I was like, wow, like, it was amazing. So I think we're in our like 12th year now.
Truly timeless music. We're talking about
Mhm.
forever. It's like if there's ever music that's timeless, I feel like the 70s made a lot of it. Like, and
Yeah,
that's
I feel like
music.
I also feel like not only the 70s, but the 60s too, and the
Yeah,
50s.
yeah,
I like a lot of classic rock too, like a little bit of the 80s too,
yeah, yeah.
like, so
Back when it was more expensive to make an album. Like I always joke that it's like the Beatles recorded their albums on stuff worse than this. Like, um,
yeah,
it's
man.
you had to actually, can you imagine a lot of these rappers today or even artists today that if they had to record to tape, like they'd be bankrupt in like a week if they were
Yeah,
like taped
because
for like reel to reel.
the whole thing is like we would like I mean, I was I was around when it started. I mean, like I had ADATs, real reels,
Yeah,
like
I got a
what I'm saying.
four
But
track right here.
then I watched Pro
It
Tools
started
take
on one of
over.
these.
There you go. Right. And then then I watched Pro Tools come in, but at that point Pro Tools was just used to like to beef up choruses. Like they weren't recording verses and stuff yet. It was just used for like, you know what I'm saying? So I seen that whole process, like, you know what I'm saying? And like when you recorded with ADATs and all that stuff and Real to Real, it's like you had to memorize, you had to know your lyrics
Yeah.
because it's expensive, right? You had to keep going back. Like you got to bang it out in one take.
Yeah. Yeah, it's these days you have all it takes in the world for better or for worse.
There you
But
go. Yeah.
that's why it's important people like you are out there trying to make timeless, music that really
Hmm.
connects with people. And one more thing I want to ask you about. So you do some consulting work, which I've been juggling the real world with the music world my entire
Okay.
career. How do you pull that off? Like is
All right.
I
Well, so you got to understand this. Like everything's a business, right? So it's like so to me, like I mean, I like music. The music business is a business, so that's just as real as to me as doing consulting, right? So it's a whole thing. So what I realized as I got royalties, I'm like, how can I get more revenue stream, like intellectual property? So it's like I got into the I call it the digital dope game. I got into like merchant services, like credit card processing.
Yep.
So like in the music industry, you get royalties, right, from your music streaming, like say portfolios, right? So the more placements I get, the more royalties I get, the more streams I get, the more royalties I get for music. So in the fintech world, finance and technology, the more transactions I make, from so for instance, I sign up a business like a that owns a liquor store, right? Like I'll sign up a liquor store and I'll provide them a POS system, which is called point of sale. So when you go in the store, you take the credit card, you swipe on the machine, whatever. So I get a piece of every transaction, right? So at the end of the day, when they get, I charge them a bill each month from their credit card processing, but I'm saving the money with their processing fees. Like I go into a place and I say, I can save you X amount of money. If I can do this, can I earn your business? And if they like what I can save them, then they give me their business. And so that's an account that I have. So, I mean, I've been doing it for about 15 years now. So what I realized is like I'm building my portfolio when it comes to that, just like I'm doing in the music industry with
Making money while you sleep, which is
yeah,
what we
make money
all.
while you sleep, right?
Yeah.
So I call it the digital dope game.
Yeah. That's
So fintech, so I worked with a lot of the major processors, like the 500 Fortune processors, and then I learned their business and their culture, and then I just went independent like I've always been. So I just became independent and just did everything on my own. But it allows me to control the rate, it allows me to control a lot of things that I couldn't control when I worked for the corporation.
yeah. That's one
Yeah, I
thing.
didn't want to be like a corporate drone anymore, pretty much.
No, no, no. And I'm fortunate. I work for, I don't want to really say on the camera where I work, because I'm trying to keep it separate, but I work for a well-known medical journal. And it's like, it's nice to have a job where you're either working for yourself or you're working towards something you care about, and where you also can actually be yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you realize the skills you learned, like I went to college and I studied film. I did a little bit in film, not that much, but I learned
Mhm.
so much about A, the real world, and B, how to make music. And then over time,
Right.
I just let those things combine, and it's finally given me that happy life that you want, you know?
Right. So that's what I did too. So like I rebranded everything this past like let's say 18 months. I rebranded everything because I was keeping like the music, the entertainment, and the fintech, separate, but it's all a business because corporations, they hire musicians to play at their corporate parties, like, and you need music to play on like commercials or whatever, like do jingles for these business owners. So now I call my business fintech or entertainment consulting. You know what I'm saying? So, and I throw networking events to throw musicians and business people together because we all are creative. You know what I'm saying? Like, in order to come up with a business, you got to come up with a logo, and you have a vision. It's just you're creating something from nothing. You know what I'm
That goes
saying?
back to what we were talking about before, which is so beautiful, is that you are now, we talked about how, like, being ready for that opportunity by working on your character and stuff. You're now giving other people who've worked on their characters and stuff that opportunity to network.
There you
So
go.
that's what's really beautiful about it, is to
Hmm.
be able to go, okay, like, I saw this work for me. Let's get this going. And it spreads out, like it trees down. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And it's not an overnight thing. It doesn't happen overnight. You know what I'm saying? Like it sucked for a few years when I started the fintechs. I had to build my clientele.
Yep.
So it sucked for a few years. I'll be honest with you, like, what I'm saying, I hustled, there was a moment where I took a back seat, and like I would work a night gig so I could have insurance, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Until I was able to build up my portfolio, you know what I'm saying? I'm still getting royalties, but I needed insurance, so stuff like that. So I got in the trenches and I did what I had to do, So it only took me a couple years, but I had vision. I had vision, baby.
I know. And it's like you've seen it work for other people, you understand how it works from the inside out. I mean, and that's where it is. It's like, if you want to get into one of these industries, you want to get into music, you got to find, I mean, if you're like 18, 19, open your ears and drop your ego and find somebody like you in the industry, that, and those people, different people like you, that they can talk to and get advice from and take it earnestly and like carry on with their life, because
Yeah.
people are dying to give out their wisdom, you know?
Yeah, sometimes you gotta humble yourself. Like a lot of artists, sometimes I know I've seen a lot of artists that they blow up or whatever, and then like they get into financial trouble and they're not humble enough to like to go back to work or figure something else out. They just want to pretend like they're still doing as good as they did like when they were popping.
I always think of Emil from Rockefeller, who she was on some of the biggest songs. And then what I heard is that she kind of thought she was the reason that Can I Get a What was a big hit. And then she kind of got in her head. And then Jay-Z was like, you're not doing the work. And then we haven't heard out of Emil in 30 years. And she was talented. She was
Hmm.
cute. I liked her a lot, but she's gone. And even she said it in hindsight. She said, I didn't have the right attitude. The
Yeah.
attitude matters so much.
Yeah, so that's what I've seen a lot of people like that. I've seen a lot of people, they get a little bit of, exposure and they think they're on top of the world, but the consistency wasn't there. So,
Yep. Yep. So, all right. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time today. This has been an absolute pleasure talking. Anything else you want
hey
to touch
man.
on before we roll? Anything coming up or any wisdom you
Um,
can drop on us?
Yeah, just be on the lookout for, my projects I got coming up. I got an album coming out. I don't know when it's gonna drop, but it's gonna be probably within the next year or so. It's called Psychotherapy. And then I have a ton of new singles I just dropped. And I just dropped this huge like anthem for the Buffalo Bills. It's called Make 'Em Shout. I know a lot of Boston people are gonna be
Hey,
upset.
hey, go for it, man.
Yeah,
Buffalo.
but
You guys, I'm rooting for the Knicks right now because I love
yeah.
the
Oh man,
underdog.
I was so pissed when Boston they slept on the Knicks, man. They should have went hard, man. They like, but it is what it is. Sometimes you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've been in Buffalo about like 15 years now. I'm pretty acclimated with the culture. I hooked up with this guy named DJ Anthony out here in Buffalo. He's like a huge Bills fan, and I just had him on a podcast. I have a podcast as well. Make sure you check out
Oh,
my
good.
podcast. It's called the Kate and Omega Shared Stories. So I just had him on that. Like I'm diversing myself. I'm becoming like a multimedia,
Let's do it.
a conglomerate. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing music publishing. Have multimedia. So I'm giving other people opportunity to talk about their life and their struggles and what they've been through. I'm not like just all about me. I'm all about exposing other great people that are multifaceted and went through struggles. You know what I'm saying? So and they overcame these struggles, right? And they have passion, purpose, and then they turn it into profit.
Yeah.
So I have that going on. And then just you can find me on all my social media. It's Omega Red Superfan. So that's Omega Red SUPAFAN. And just holler at me. I get right back at you.
Is that an X-Men reference?
Also, I will be on a new TV series talk show. It's called Oni TV. We're gonna do the taping. My taping is gonna be June 26th. It's going to be in Brooklyn. It's going to be live. And you can buy tickets. You can, not buy tickets. You can get tickets for free if you want to come see me tape it live. It's called oniproductions.com. So it's oniproductions with the Z.com, and you'll see me there. And you can get tickets, and you can come and see me record it live. And I'm also the talent coordinator for them as well. So I'm getting a lot of celebrities hired, a lot of celebrities to be on the show as well. So I got that going on. And then what else? I think that's about it, bro.
Wait, man, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Stay grinding, man. Stay grinding.
Oh,
Not that we need to
also,
hear
yeah.
that.
So anyone who's gonna be watching this, and if they're around the Western New York area, I'm gonna be open up for Dave East on July 7th. So
Where's
that's
that
gonna be
going to be?
cool. Huh?
Where's that show going to be?
It's gonna be no, not June. I mean not July. June 7th. It's gonna be at the Showplace Theater in Buffalo, New York.
Very cool. Dave East is legend in his own right.
So it's dope because he's on the Wu-Tang. He plays Method Man on
In the
Wu-Tang
Wu-Tang.
Saga. So he's been putting in the work. So
And he was a star before. I mean, he was an amazing rapper even before that. That just came
yeah,
from
I
one.
think Nas discovered him, right?
Yeah, yeah. I always tie
Yeah,
him with Nas. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Cool, man. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure, and I love the message you have. I love the music you're making, and we need more of this. And I'm, proud we're from the same city in some weird, twisted way, even though I'm from outside of it. But
yeah, for sure, man.
this has been an absolute pleasure, man.
I appreciate you having me, bro.
All right, cool. All right.